Welcome to Nacho Fitness Coach. I'm Sarah, the expert.
And I'm Caleigh, the beginner.
Join us as we discuss fitness culture
from our two very different perspectives.
So grab yourself a protein shake
or a glass of wine.
And let's get started. So Caleigh, do you ever get stressed out?
Never.
Never?
Okay. Sometimes.
You live like the best
It's a very
life
zen.
ever.
It's a very zen life that I'm living. I'm not going to lie.
I can just picture you right now, like in just full on meditation.
Oh, yeah.
You're like the perfect homeschool mom. And you've just got everything under control. The kids are perfect.
Marriage is perfect.
Everything is just, you just don't ever have to leave your farmhouse.
Perfection.
Not allowed to leave your farmhouse.
Okay, we don't need to go there.
As long as I stay on my 3 acres, everything is totally fine. Or 4. I don't know.
Do I experience stress? Sure. Everybody does.
Everyone does. Things are stressful.
Stress is a part of life.
I mean, like I was just freaking out, stressed out earlier because I thought I erased all of our recordings.
I saw that.
I was trying really hard not to lose it.
I was like slinking. I was like trying to like
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to try really not to just like let it go. It's like, I just need a moment. And the kids.
You handle it well.
Thank you.
I would have told, because your daughter was in here.
Yeah.
You are very good with your.
Not just like losing it at them.
Yeah, because I would have.
I tried.
And like to no fault of the child.
Right.
But I knew where you were at. And I was like, I would have blown my top 5 minutes ago. And you were still like, sweetie, honey, mommy's a little bit stressed out.
I really need.
We're going to need. And I mean, it was like several iterations of the same thing. No, that would not have been my general reaction. No.
I'm
so good for
surprised.
you.
Thank you.
I was impressed.
Well, I tried. That was a tough one.
You've always been very good like that, especially with your children.
Oh, because sometimes, man, I am also like, personally, I'm super introverted. I'm fine with not leaving my house for days on end.
For sure.
I'm not a super social butterfly. And so I get just overstimulated really super easy. And then that stresses me out. So I'm like, if there are too many people talking at once, I lose it, and I'm just like in the volume level. Like one person starts talking a little bit higher and louder, and then somebody else starts talking. I'm like, okay, I need you to
moments where like my husband's home from work. He's trying to tell me about his day. My kids are like, Mom, can you make me some toast or can I have a piece of candy? It's just like, plus the fan's going in the background and there's a TV on in the other room and trucks are driving down the road. And like, I just can't.
No.
Like, a lot. Overwhelmed. I don't tend to call it stress, I don't think.
But it is stress.
It is stress. I feel like I don't tend to like take those moments and label them as stress so much as overwhelm, which I think go hand in hand, and they're probably the same thing.
Do you think there's like a stress like level, or can you have ranges of stress? Like, is that like a low frequency? There's an app for that. There is.
My Samsung Health app tracks my stress.
How does it do that?
I think it's somewhat based off of heart rate. I don't know. I'm just going to be very transparent with you. I do not know. But I do know that there is an element of accuracy to it because I can look back on it and be like, oh yeah, I was stressed out at that point in time.
Health app track stress. But you're like, okay, well, this is a mild grade stressful situation, like that overstimulation, right? That's one definitely thing where it's like, okay, you might not completely consider that a stressful situation,
right?
But you're also not calm, right? So you're like, okay, is that like a low lying level of stress versus like, then you go to the opposite end of the spectrum where, if you're in, say, like a work environment, you've got a high pressure situation at work where you've got either bosses or you can feel like your back tensing up and you'll know that that's stressful, but it is all stress.
It's all stress. Overwhelm is stress. I don't know why I feel like I've kind of subconsciously just like renamed it for myself. I don't know why.
What'd you name it as?
It's overwhelm.
Overwhelm. Yeah. I've started rolling with the overstimulation,
overstimulation. Yeah. But yeah, that's my stress. That's today.
Why are you high like within the last 30 minutes? This is supposed to be fun. Didn't that say like 8:59 p.m.? It's just like the lightning bolt is like up in the red
because we're like
you should be having like a alarm going off.
I don't know. Sometimes I think, because sometimes I do see that and I'm like, I don't feel stressed out, but sometimes I think it's like a matter of like adrenaline and like, because we've been like chatting, in between episodes. We've been chatting about some high.
Yeah, we have Justice helping us out again.
We do.
And Little J stepping in as our producer.
And we were talking about some exciting subjects and stuff that really got my heart rate going.
Well, yeah, because we were pulling in, going back to the original dream of the podcast. Caleigh had this dream where it was fitness blending her love for true crime podcasts. Yeah. And, it kind of, we've stuck more to the fitness route, but then Justice has been in here with us, and she has some experience with true crime, real life situations.
She used to work in the news
at the news station.
I used to work in local news, and
so we were just discussing between episodes how different levels of stress with different jobs, how can affect you and your body and all the things. And so, how's that stressful though? Because I think you were just actually like excited to talk true crime.
That's why I'm not sure. I don't feel stressed out in like a negative sense right now. And haven't like all night, other than when you thought you lost.
I lost everything. I was
a little stressed out,
full panicking.
So I don't know. I don't know how this app measures it.
Okay, so I found a website, optimistminds.com. We'll link it in the show notes. But it's how does my phone measure stress? Okay, and it's specifically related to the Samsung Health app, and it says your phone measures stress by measuring your heart rate variability, which is often a good measure of stress. Phones have the heart rate sensor on the back, which they may use to assess the stress level of the person. So it is based on your heart rate. That's what I figured.
Because that's really all it can measure. It can't measure like my cortisol levels or like.
It'll probably get there someday.
Well, sure, but it's not there. Most it can do is like literally surface level.
Won't that be crazy actually someday if your watch could measure like your hormone levels?
Sure, it will be able to.
That's kind of wild.
You'll probably just be able to tap your temple, pull up the screen in your eyeballs.
The only thing that the only sci-fi kind of thing that totally freaks me out is the one, I don't think it was a commercial or something, that people walk around with the countdown of how many days they have left.
Yeah. There was a whole movie about it with Justin Timberlake.
There is?
Yeah, where they time was currency.
Okay.
And they had to buy their food with time.
Oh.
And so people who were quote unquote poor had less time
because they were using it for that.
You should watch it. What is it called? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I didn't know we were talking about it.
I mean, so that's the only technological advance that I'm always okay, that maybe is a little too real if we actually could have that.
I don't think that will be in our lifetime.
No, probably not. I don't know that could be in any lifetime.
A countdown to dying?
Yeah.
Oh.
It could be calculated. It is dark.
It is dark.
Yikes. I mean, what do you do with that one person that you're walking by on the street and it's 0001?
But do they know?
25.
Does that person know?
I don't think so. Isn't that part of it? Because it's floating above.
I don't know. I'm not sure where you saw this.
It was a commercial or something, or just maybe, I don't know.
It's wild.
It was, you had those numbers flashing above your head.
Oh, geez. It's dark. Anyway.
I don't know. Anyways, that is camera. Okay, so I really, okay, wait, hold on. Oh, you can put your finger on the heart rate sensor, but avoid by pressing it too hard. Stay still and quiet. So it'll sense your heart rate, your oxygen saturation, which is a water droplet icon.
It does track, my watch does track your blood oxygen.
And stress level will all be measured.
I didn't know that.
So, stress definitely is also how to manage your stress with this app.
Yeah, there's a thing you can tap. It'll be hey, looks like you're a little bit stressed out. Do you want to breathe?
Oh.
That's another thing we need to talk about. I don't know if we need to talk about it in this episode, but I've been meaning to bring this up is...
breath work?
Breath work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got somebody that I know that does breath work.
I do breath work.
You do breath work? You're getting into it?
Dipping my toes
I am aware of somebody that coaches breath work, and she's a big
I don't
fan.
Coach it. I don't coach it.
Well, you don't coach anything. So it's fine. We know.
But I'm enjoying it. My husband's enjoying it.
I think it's just general mindfulness. I feel like in finding something that works for you.
A little bit high.
Do you? Is it from the breath work?
Yes. Yeah. True story. Why are you guys laughing at me?
I know. You know what? That's actually not any different than after a good yoga class.
Yeah.
If you actually go to a true yoga class where there is focus on your breaths.
Yeah.
And in and out and pairing it correctly with your motions And as you're going through the different poses, you do leave with like a euphoric feeling when you leave and you've been doing that breathing, you know.
Yeah, there's something to it.
There is totally something to it. Meditation, breathing exercises, just directed attention and mindfulness. You know, that is one thing that, you know, working with clients, it does get underestimated. There's a super intense focus on diet and exercise.
Yep.
But you, again, we talk about, you don't consider all the other aspects
Nobody
of
talks
life.
about posture. Nobody talks about breath work. Nobody talks about dunking yourself in an ice cold bath for 15 minutes.
You know, all the things, like, it's just all the things. But, you know, stress is stress is in everyone's life, and your body has physiological effects against the stress. And it's not always just the times that you're feeling stressed out.
Right.
But it's going to battle it in different ways. And, you know, the other thing is that you have workouts, high intense workouts. Those are creating stress on your body. And some people, depending on certain diagnoses, super high intensity workouts almost kick your body's stress level like over the top.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can only handle so much.
Yep.
So if you're trying to do too much and then you go and put like a really high intense workout on top of it, then you're really kind of, you're not giving yourself as much of a, I think, go ahead as you maybe think you are. So does exercise help you manage stress?
I think so. Yeah.
What kind of exercise?
You look at me like that's not a...
I mean, I thought you didn't have stress. My life is perfect. I know.
I do. I do feel better on days where I'm able to get that kind of like physical, I don't want to say release, but sure.
Do you think it's physical, or do you think some of it's also just that like mental, just zoning out
a little more,
or just a moment to think of something else other than, you know, you go out for a road run, you know, all of a sudden it's you in the country road, and get away from whatever it was that was kind of breathe and come back. And because there are people that works for them just to go out for a little run, or even just a walk, the fresh air. So it's probably a combination of a lot of things. But if your cortisol is high and staying high, it's not going to be your friend. No, especially if you have like fat loss goals. Because I definitely think when...
Sorry, I just patted my belly.
What are we laughing about?
I immediately went to the conversation from the last episode where the AI told you about the punch pouch, and then that was what she sounded like.
I just touched my belly because I was like, yeah, you know, we had this whole conversation of the, you know, your cortisol levels are so high, and then you can't lose weight, and you know.
And there's a lot that, for a lot of people, that's where you'll hold your stress, like your extra cortisol levels will be stored as body fat or belly fat specifically. And I don't, you know, if
there was a commercial about this trying to sell a product for, I have a very distinct visual of like arrows and belly fat cells.
And just like probably some detox.
Probably. I don't know.
Dr. Oz was probably selling some
Dr. Oz
detox. Like,
probably.
Just drink this and it's totally fine. You're going to spot reduce your fat because that's, we already have decided that is not a real thing. It's a whole lot, but there tends to be proven
a correlation
between increased cortisol levels and a higher amount of stored body fats like within your abdominal area.
Think anybody can probably pinpoint a time in their life where they were stressed for some specific reason, and they probably weren't at their prime physical state in that time and whatever they were going through. I know I can look at hard times that I've had in my life. I mean, not that I've ever been at my prime.
Like, the best is yet to come.
When I was 18.
I'm getting there.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mean to do this. Change the subject, but a few episodes ago, I don't know what it was. Sorry. I'm sure you want to point it out.
I have nothing.
We talked about how you cannot fit into the same clothes you had as an 18-year-old.
Well, you said that there's no way that your body has changed, that I can't fit into. You're the one that said that.
I said you can't.
Right. You said you can't.
And you're like, I could fit into my 18-year-old clothes. As a matter of fact, I have them, and I've been waiting
still have my
to do that very thing, actually. But I listened to an episode of the podcast, Stuff You Should Know. Okay. Great podcast. They talk about all kinds of different things.
All things that are stuff you should know.
All the things. I've listened to podcasts. I've listened to episodes about possums, coffins. I mean,
so
it's
you'd
like
be a
all
good
over
trivia
the board.
partner.
All over the board. So
Okay.
they just had an episode about how your body on a cellular level completely regenerates every like 7 years.
Okay.
You don't even have, literally, your body has not the same body.
Not the same body. But that doesn't mean you still can't fit into the same clothes.
You can't.
Was that part of the podcast?
They're actually two different things. We're actually talking about two
I
different
know.
things. But that's what it reminded me of.
What does that have anything to do with being able to fit? Because you're like, there is no way that you can fit. Your body is different, a different shape. You're not going to be able to fit into those.
That still stands. It doesn't have anything to do with the cellular regeneration, but it just made me think of that. Because I'm like, your body literally isn't even the same body. Tell me this, because they talked about this in the episode. If a ship is docked on, I don't know, where does a ship dock? If a
like a port?
At a port. There you go.
Okay.
If a ship is docked in port,
Okay.
and over 10 years, they slowly replace every part in that ship.
I thought it was 7 years.
Well, let's just say,
Okay. The
over
ship
10
is
years.
10. Got it.
Okay, so fine, 7 years. Jesus. Over 7 years, they replace every single part of that ship.
Okay.
Is it the same ship 7 years later? Are you the same person?
Is the name of the ship the same?
Bodie McBoke face.
Yes. See? I mean, I think if they don't change the name, then it is
It's the same ship. I don't know. It's fascinating. This has nothing to do with our episode.
I mean, but that's interesting though, because I mean, it's part of health and wellness, though, your body and understanding that all that works.
The episode was very scientific for a while, kind of lost me. And then it got very like philosophical. I was like, oh, like what is the meaning of life?
Oh, well, are we gonna go there too? I'm gonna need some more wine.
Oh, yep. I need some other things.
How exactly does that relate to stress?
I don't know.
Or just that your body
not
changes.
sure.
So
I'm not sure how
things that you were stressed out about 7 years ago, your body doesn't even remember it anymore.
Maybe.
Does your brain regenerate?
That's actually another point as far as stress and
Stop hitting your microphone.
the things that we stress out about that's what I've been really trying to focus on is like zoom out.
Yeah.
Will this matter in 5 years? Is this going to matter in, how big a deal is this really? Because sometimes I find myself getting really worked up. Sometimes I just like make scenarios up in my head that aren't even real.
Yeah.
That's on anxiety. But you got to zoom out. And then it's like,
It's okay.
fine.
It's gonna be okay. I did that. I would get super stressed out about everyday stuff when I was pregnant. And I think it was probably just the hormones. I mean, it just shows you how like things are changing or whatever. And that, I mean, your body goes through so many changes in such really a short period of time. Like you're talking about like jumping back in, like looking at bigger picture. The amount of changes your body goes through a pregnancy is like kind of wild.
Oh,
really.
absolutely.
And so like the stress, not only that the changes your body put on your body, but then also too, I mean, I just remember little things that never used to bother me, especially when I was pregnant.
You're not the same person when you're pregnant.
No. But I also remember trying to find a way to be super aware of that because like, for example, a lot of things like my husband would drive me nuts on totally different levels or anyone that was around me. It wasn't necessarily him. Things that
somebody
were
breathes wrong. And it's like,
and you just are like, but it's like, okay, bigger picture. Is this me or is that really that person?
Right.
Okay, this is probably a me and I'm just going to zip it. But I think you could very easily go the other way and just like vocalize it. And then you're dealing with whole new situations.
with my first, I'm not the kind of person who cries openly in front of people. I just cry in the shower.
Okay.
by myself.
Right. Yes. Right. We know
I don't
this.
cry in front of people. I mean, one night me and my husband ordered McDonald's like we do. I ordered.
I'm noticing a trend with McDonald's situation. Okay,
well.
whatever. We won't go there again.
Supersize me. I ordered a double cheeseburger with only mustard. I've been an only mustard girl for as long as I can remember. No ketchup, please. No onions, please. No pickle, please. Only mustard.
And the cheese.
And the
Obviously.
cheese, of
Okay.
course. They heard me say mac sauce instead of mustard.
Oh,
So they put mac sauce.
I don't even know what mac sauce
It's
is.
the sauce on a Big Mac.
Oh, okay.
They put mac sauce on my double cheeseburger.
Did you lose it?
I openly wept. I mean, my husband was like, what they're there.
Drive through and reorder it. It's going to be fine, sweetheart.
I bawled.
Wrecked.
Wrecked.
How'd you come back from that?
Like in the moment?
Yeah, did you just get over
I
it?
think we just kind of accepted that, like,
I would have driven through the drive-through again, probably.
we also had, when I was early in that pregnancy, and that was when the flip switch of like, oh shit, this is going to be a rough road, was we live out in the country, and we had driven down the country road, and one of our farm cats had been hit. And honestly, I'm not a big animal person. I'm not a big cat person.
It's still hard.
And I saw that cat, and I mean, I lost it. I was like 11 weeks pregnant. My poor husband was like,
What do I do?
do we need to have like a funeral? Like, I don't know.
The coyote is going to come get it, and
It
it'll
was
be
a
fine.
whole thing. No, he went back out and like
Oh, he did?
put it
Oh,
off to the side.
yeah, drag it off into the ditch.
But, I mean, I've never cried over a farm animal. Let's just say.
Yeah, but it's different level.
I saw that
when
cat and I was like, oh no.
So what are
Oh,
some
God.
things that you do when you are stressed out that you manage stress?
The breath work.
Okay.
Been a thing lately.
Do you only do that when you are stressed, or do you do that?
No, I've
regularly in
been
general?
kind of, I mean, I've been slacking. We went hard for a little while, and then, you know me, bored with it or whatever.
You jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I don't know. What do I do when I'm stressed? TikTok.
Yeah, just the social media scrolls. Does that make it better or worse?
Go into another world.
Sometimes
Sometimes it does help. I'm not going to lie.
Sometimes
I'm
it
not
makes
trying to
me
like,
more stressed though, because I
No.
see how sometimes the world is crazy.
what I will say, I do not think human beings are designed to watch a video of like a child dying of cancer, you know, a 1.5 minute video or whatever, and then straight to, you know, like a funny prank video in the within the same 5 minutes. Our brains are not wired to do that. And I think this is a problem we all need to be recognizing, because it's like bam, 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 bam.
Plus, how is that translating into other areas of life where you don't have that like immediate satisfaction?
Yeah.
Or is it negatively transferring into other areas of life because we're so used to that quick stuff?
I think that's what we're getting. I think that's why my children cannot watch movies, because they're so used to like the quick. That's because that's how children's
for 2 hours.
shows are now.
They're like 3-minute long nursery rhyme songs, and
So
then
I
it
think-
switches. And
Yep.
I actually, over the winter, we went and the college house that I lived in for a couple of years has become an Airbnb. So took the family, had like a weekend in my old college town, went to the college track meet. The kids did a track meet, and we stayed in my house. And it was kind of interesting being there, because I remember the one corner at the bottom of the steps where we had our desk, and then like what the computer looked like, and you had the old tower and the dial-up. Like I remember that sound of that dial-up internet, and how you had to sit there, and how, thinking back now, how slow the connection was and the internet, and how long it took
Everything
to do
was slower.
things. And I'm like, if I tried to go back and do that now, what would my patience be like?
Yeah, you can just pull this tiny device out of your pocket.
Right. Oh yeah. Back then, I don't even know that I really consistently carried a cell phone with me, because we didn't have text messaging yet. It was just for calls.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it stayed plugged in by the side of my bed for most of the time. I don't know that I ever. Yeah. I mean, that's just wild. So,
No, I think, we definitely are living in a fast-paced, quick.
do you think that's attributing to stress levels
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
in ways that you don't even really recognize? Because social media is probably a really big reason for that.
Yep.
And being able to go through. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
What stresses you out? Overstimulation.
Overstimulation,
too
for
much,
sure.
Too many things going on at the same time.
I could be myself, just by myself.
Oh,
a lot, and just
100%.
not have to have human
honestly,
interaction
and I
at
feel like
all.
this is a
I'd be really
controversial
happy.
thing to say, but like, you know, everybody went through some shitty times during COVID. Like, I could go back.
It's kind of nice.
I could
just
do
to
it
be
again.
Like, oh, I have a reason that I don't have to be around people.
It was kind of, well, and like the way that
the world slowed down.
Yeah, and the way that our family life is set up is, I already homeschooled my kids. My husband owns his company, owns his business.
Right. You had minimal.
He was able to just transfer
changes,
straight
really.
into. We really did, and you know, my heart went out to people who had to make these major changes. But it was like this kind of cushy, like, situation.
you're like, okay.
And I was like, oh,
The world slowed.
I don't have to. Not only did I not have to take my kids out to be around other people, which was not something I enjoyed.
Right.
Like I couldn't.
Right. You're like, no, I actually.
It was a
reasons that
better
I don't feel
option.
Guilty.
It was a better
There's
option
no
not
choice.
to.
Right.
But then after a while, you're like, well, how's this affecting my kids? And
Yeah. I think anymore, before I had kids, I was somebody that would have a very scheduled day.
Yeah.
Meetings, corporate life, especially when I started throwing in personal training in, in the mornings, at nights, on weekends. I've always been somebody that will have 14 to 16 hour days just doing stuff.
Yeah.
Working. And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
When I'm just worried about myself getting there, I can get somewhere on time, be there, and it's totally fine. What stresses me out these days is I'm not really sure I totally like to plan places that I have to be at a certain time.
Yeah.
Because that's literally the one time that I'm trying to walk out the door
stresses me out.
and have a baby that pooped or, and now it's a whole nother 5 or 6 minutes of trying to get things changed, and then you're feeling rushed, and then you're guilty because things are late. I don't like to have schedules anymore right now in my life.
Yeah.
That's probably the number one thing that stresses me out is if I have...
I like a routine.
I
don't like
a routine.
a schedule.
Yes.
I don't like to be...
I don't, because, or it's like one of them will have to go to the bathroom right before we're loaded up, or they'll already be in the car, and then they got to decide they got to go, and you don't want to tell them not to go. And so it's this whole thing. You're watching the clock. And then I also I actually watched, I think it was a video maybe, or was it a blog? They talked about, school age kids. My kids are in public school. So, we've got to be there at a certain time.
Yep.
And how if you're rushed in the morning and you're like, we got to go, 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 go. And you're like yelling at them to get out the door. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, honey, have a good day. And they're like, if you just got yelled at for the last 15 minutes of hurrying to get dressed, you think about your kid.
Reason number 674. Why
you homeschool. And you're like, this is great. But I'm like, that's so true. I mean, we start like the process of getting out the door probably 45 minutes before we need to. Because I'm like, okay, we need to make sure breakfast is eaten, all the things. Because it is true. If you push it and then you're spending time yelling at them to hurry up, to get out the door, pushing them, and then you let them out, or they get on the bus and then they have to get out to school, and they're just like, okay, honey, have a good day. I just got yelled at.
My younger daughter, she's she's just like that second child, man. They just don't care. They don't care.
Everyone's got one, whether it's the second or something. There is definitely one.
And so we're trying to get out the door, and she's like, I'm going to drag this out for as long as I can. Like what? I don't know where my shoes are. I don't know how to put my jacket on all of a sudden. I don't know. Oh, actually, I need a snack. Actually, I need to go to She don't care. We were driving to Omaha a couple weeks ago. We were meeting my husband up there, stayed at Airbnb, and we didn't have time or anything to get there. So we just kind of go with the flow, which is great. I loved it. It's like we can, whatever.
We'll get there when we get there.
We started getting in Omaha, and all of a sudden it struck me what time it was, which I did not.
Was it rush hour?
Give any forethought to. It was rush hour, which I used to live in Omaha, over a decade ago. So it's like, I go into it like, I can handle Omaha rush hour.
Not anymore, because traffic for you, it's like,
this was like 4:30.
Oh yeah, that sounds horrible.
On the interstate. And my oldest is very she's very in tune to where I'm at, my stress levels and stuff, and very she acts accordingly.
No.
And so we started getting into the city, and they were starting to bicker about something. And I was like, okay, guys, you can't do this. You need to be quiet. I need to focus. We're getting into heavy traffic. Just, laying it out straight. This is what's going on. Knock it off. And so I hear them back there, and they're whispering. My oldest is like, my youngest was starting to complain about something. My oldest is like, Audrey, be quiet. She's like, traffic is really heavy right now, and if we stress mom out, she's going to crash the car. You know what my youngest said?
So?
I don't care.
I don't care.
She didn't care.
No,
that's our life every day.
Yeah, she's
my
like,
oldest
so?
is tends to my every don't make mom happy. My youngest is like, I got better shit to do.
So that's her. Let her deal with it. It's fine.
I don't care if we crash.
I think one thing with just, you noticed that you were going to be in a stressful situation. So you had that foresight to be like, okay, I'm going to be proactive and we're going to get these girls in check and make sure that you don't really push me over the edge. Cause I'm like, I don't like to have to get to the point where you're over the edge.
Yes.
That's no
where
fun.
You have to
cause it's no fun for the people in the room. It's also no fun for yourself. I mean, I feel my shoulder blades or the muscles that are just right in that spot, right? I can feel them just crawling and tightening up, So it's like, okay, how do I avoid that happening? Because it's not just your heart rate. I mean, there's other hormonal effects that happen with the stress, and it just is going to negatively impact you for a while. So you got to measure. So one kind of tactic that I feel like I tripped upon when it was really talking about nutrition advice, but I do think it's also helpful specifically as it relates to stress, is taking a moment to notice and name. What I mean by that is notice what's going on, what happened like right before then to, you know, what build up to it.
Right.
And take a moment to actually name it and be like, okay, what is it that happened or triggered me? You know, because sometimes people will stress eat. Yeah. Well, that's not helping really a lot of situations either. So there's different ways that people will manage their stress. And so just the first step, in my opinion, is to pay attention to what it was that got you there in the first place and try to put a plan in place to manage that in the future. So, and
then zoom out and be like, what's this going to matter?
Zoom out.
In 5 years anyway.
And just be like, it's going to be fine. Just take the chill pill and just, it's good.
Eat a moon pie. Quit murdering people. Do you know what I'm talking about, Justice?
Completely.
I'm like,
my coping mechanism for my last job was I would come home, grab a bottle of wine, and sit in the bathtub. And I thought it was a good coping mechanism, but then, you know, you find out later it doesn't work.
And I guess that's something we should
alcohol
talk about
has negative effects on stress management too.
A really hard time. I've never been one to like, I would always drink on the weekends, socially,
right?
You know, in a party situation.
Twisted teas.
I was never one to like drink at night.
Just during the week.
Just like wind down. Yeah. And then when I went through a, you know, especially hard time, and then it was like, actually it was more so after I had my second.
Right.
Because I never understood like the whole, like, have a glass of wine at night. Yeah. You know, the mom thing.
Yeah.
Drink wine at night. I never really got that. Yeah. And then I had my second and I was like, you know, postpartum. And it's kind of this thing that like creeps up on you because at first it does feel like it's helping. And then the more that you do it, the more that you need to do it. And I don't know if that's pertinent to everybody, but I was starting to get to a point where I was like, oh geez, like I see how that can spiral into a whole nother situation.
Well, and how the frequency can increase and then the amount
where you need it,
increase.
where you need it to sleep or you need it to tolerate life, you know, that goings on around you.
Well, like, but that can be a common misconception though, that it actually helps with sleep, and it really actually doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It decreases the actual quality of your deep sleep.
Yep. And I think I got a hold of it, you know, in time.
Yeah. Well, you noticed and named it.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay.
Alcoholism.
Like, we're going to start going down this other path. Here we go. This is going to start getting expensive, and I don't want these extra calories. No. So, yeah, I mean, it is just something to be aware of and to know that stress is not your friend, particularly. It's unavoidable because it's going to happen. We've all got life situations, but taking just a moment to step back and notice it and name it and not take it out on other people is going to pay off in the long run. So there we go. That's all. I think that's all.
That's all.
That's all we got about it for now.
We're not going to stress about it.
No. Until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to head over to our Instagram at Nacho Fitness Coach and let us know how you feel about the topic. Do you love it or hate it?
Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening. And if you like our podcast, leave us a rating. See you next time.
You've been listening to Euphony Innovatives Sonified.